She kept her ex's hoodie. It's comfortable. Why are you so obsessed with him? I said, I'm not. Then I used the hoodie to clean the toilet and put it back on her pillow. When she put it on and smelled it, I never thought cleaning a toilet would destroy a relationship until I used the wrong hoodie. She kept her ex's hoodie because it was comfortable. Why are you so obsessed with him? I asked. I replied, I'm not. So I used the hoodie to clean the toilet and put it back on her pillow. When she put it on and smelled it, I just thought, look, I'm normally not petty, but everyone has a breaking point. The hoodie in question? Gray, oversized, with a faded University of Michigan logo. It belonged to her ex-boyfriend, Chad. Of course, his name was Chad. My girlfriend, Emma, and I have been together for 11 months. We moved in together 6 months ago to a 2-bedroom apartment in Portland. We split the rent 50-50. Everything was great, except for one thing, the hoodie. It lives on her side of the closet. She wears it all the time. On weekend mornings making coffee, during movie nights on the couch, when she's cold, when she's comfortable, or when we fight and she wants to be snuggled up. I brought it up several times. The first time was casual. Hey, whose hoodie is this? Oh, it's from college, super comfortable. You dated a guy at Michigan, right? Yeah, but it's just a hoodie, it's comfy. The second time was more direct. You know that's your ex's hoodie, right? I know. So that doesn't feel, I don't know, weird? She laughed. Why? It's just a thing. Are you jealous of a hoodie? I'm not jealous. Then what's the big deal? I let it go. The third time was after she wore the hoodie to meet my parents. My mom pulled me aside. Is that her ex-boyfriend's hoodie? It is. And you're okay with that? I wasn't, but what was I supposed to say? The fourth time was 3 days ago. We had a silly argument about whose turn it was to buy groceries. She went to the bedroom annoyed and came back 10 minutes later wearing the hoodie, arms crossed, staring me down. Seriously? I said. You're wearing that right now? What? It's comfortable. It's your ex's. Why are you so obsessed with him? I'm not obsessed. I just think it's weird that you wear his clothes. It's just a hoodie, Jake. It's not like I'm wearing his underwear. That's not the point. Then what is the point? The point is that you're literally wrapping yourself in a memory of him every time you get mad at me. She rolled her eyes. You're being ridiculous. It's just comfortable. Is that all it is? Then grab another comfortable hoodie. I'll buy you 10. I don't want 10 hoodies. I want this one. Why? Because you like it? But why this one specifically? Because it's broken in? Because it fits perfectly? Why? She stopped, looked at me. Why do you care so much? Because it bothers me. Then get over it. She went to sleep in the hoodie. I stayed up, stewing, annoyed. The hoodie had to go, but I couldn't just throw it away. She'd notice immediately, be furious, and it would turn into a huge scandal. I needed to be subtle, something that would make her not want to wear the hoodie anymore. That's when I looked at the bathroom, at the toilet. Our toilet was acting up. Slow drain, sometimes the water backed up. I'd been putting off a deep clean, the kind where you get in there with brushes and old rags. I took the hoodie from the bedroom. Emma was sleeping, lightly snoring, and didn't even stir. I took it to the bathroom, closed the door, and got to work. I used the hoodie to scrub everything. The bowl, the base, the underside of the rim, the tank. I used it to soak up the nastiest water, the sludge on the bolts, the grime behind the seat. 20 minutes later, the toilet was spotless. The hoodie, not so much. I rinsed it quickly in the sink. Cold water, a quick rinse, just enough to get the worst off and keep it from dripping. Then I dried it on low heat with the hairdryer. I fluffed it up, made it look normal. To the naked eye, nothing looked wrong. You would need to smell it to notice. Then I folded it and put it back on her pillow, exactly where she left it before sleeping. I went to bed, satisfied. The next morning, Saturday, Emma woke up before me. I heard her making coffee in the kitchen, humming. I got up and went out there. She was wearing the hoodie, drinking coffee, scrolling on her phone. She hadn't noticed, or she had, but she thought it was the smell of the coffee, the trash, something else. She didn't comment. "Morning," I said. "Morning. Sleep well?" "Yeah, you?" "Fine." She kept scrolling, kept drinking coffee, nothing. I poured myself a cup, trying to smile. This was going to be good. An hour later, we were on the couch, her still in the hoodie, me reading, her watching a home renovation show. Then she sniffed, just once, almost unnoticeable. I glanced over. She made a slight face. She sniffed again, like something is off, but she didn't know what. "Are you smelling something? Like what?" "I don't know, something weird." "I don't smell anything." She pulled the sleeve of the hoodie up to her nose and smelled it. Did something spill on this?" "I don't know, I haven't touched it." She smelled it again, made a bigger face. "It smells weird, maybe it needs to be washed." "Yeah, maybe." She took the hoodie off, tossed it on the couch, and went to change. Victory. But 10 minutes later, she came back, picked up the hoodie, and put it on again. "What are you doing?" I asked. "I'm cold, this one's warm." "But you said it smelled weird." "It's not that bad, I'll wash it later." Damn it. An hour later, we went to the grocery store. She wore the hoodie. We walked through the produce section, got bananas, apples, and lettuce, and arrived at the deli counter. The guy behind the counter, mid-50s, bald, friendly, greeted us. "What can I get for you folks?" Emma leaned against the counter. "Can I get half a pound of the roasted turkey?" He started slicing. Then he stopped, sniffed the air, and looked around. "Is everything okay?" Emma asked. "Yeah, it's just..." He sniffed again. "Are you folks smelling that?" Emma froze. "Smelling what?" "Something kind of sewery, faintly." But then he sniffed in her direction. His expression changed. "Ma'am, I think it might be..." Emma took a step back. "Sorry, She grabbed my arm. "Let's go." We rushed out of the deli section. "He just said I smell like a sewer," she whispered. "I think he was smelling something from the store." "No, he looked right at me." "Must be a coincidence." She smelled the hoodie again, made a face. "This definitely smells weird. Why is it like this? Maybe it was in the laundry hamper too long. Maybe." We finished shopping, paid, and drove home. In the car, she left the window down. "I really need to wash this." "Why don't you wear something else?" "Because I like this one, but it smells." "I'll wash it when we get there." We arrived. She took the hoodie off and threw it into the hamper. Finally. But on Sunday morning, she pulled the hoodie out of the hamper, still dirty, still unwashed. "What are you doing?" I asked. "I'm going to wear it." "You didn't wash it?" "I'll wash it later. I'm just wearing it for an hour." "But it smells." "It's not that bad." It was. I could smell it from across the room. A scent of stagnant water, mildew, and something vaguely chemical. Exactly the smell of a toilet that needed cleaning. But she either didn't notice or didn't care. In the afternoon, her friend Rachel came over. They were going to watch a movie together. Rachel arrived, hugged Emma, and immediately recoiled. "Oh my God, what is that smell?" Emma's face turned red. "What smell?" Rachel sniffed again. "Is something dead in here?" "No, that is coming from you." Emma looked mortified. "I don't..." Rachel walked closer, sniffed the hoodie, and sharply backed away. "It's the hoodie. Emma, what did you do to this thing?" "I didn't do anything. This smells like a porta potty." Emma tore the hoodie off and threw it on the floor. "Fine, I'm going to wash it." "You might need to burn that," Rachel said. Emma took the hoodie to the laundry room. Rachel looked at me. "Do you know what happened to that thing?" "I don't know. It smells like sewage. Actual sewage. Weird." She narrowed her eyes. "Did you do something?" "Why would I do something?" "Why do you hate that hoodie?" "Emma says you complain about it all the time."
I mentioned it once. She said it was 4 times. Okay, a few times. But I didn't do anything. Rachel didn't look convinced, but she dropped it. They watched the movie. Emma didn't put the hoodie back on. That night, she threw the hoodie into the washing machine. Lots of detergent, hot water, long cycle. It came out better, but not great. The smell was still there, faint but present. "I don't get it, Jake," Emma said, holding the hoodie. "I used like 3 cups of detergent. Maybe it's the material." "It's cotton. Cotton doesn't permanently smell like sewage. Maybe an animal died inside the wall near your closet." "Emma, that's disgusting." "I'm just trying to help." She hung it up to dry. She didn't wear it Monday. Tuesday morning, I heard the machine running again. Another wash, more detergent, hotter water. Tuesday afternoon, she put the hoodie on. "It's fine now," she said. It wasn't. I could still smell it, but I kept quiet. Tuesday night, we went to her company's happy hour. Casual thing at a bar downtown, about 15 people from her office. Emma wore the hoodie. I warned her, "Are you sure about that?" "It's fine, you can barely smell it." We arrived at the bar. Her coworker, Kevin, mid-30s, always nice, came over to greet her. "Hey, Emma." "Hi." He stopped, sniffed the air. "Are you guys smelling that?" Emma stiffened. "Smelling what?" "Like, I don't know, something off." He looked around. "Maybe the bar's plumbing is bad." Another coworker, Lisa, walked up and immediately made a face. "Ugh, what is that smell?" "I think it's the plumbing," Kevin said. "No, that—" Lisa sniffed in Emma's direction. Her eyes widened. "Is that you, Emma? Is that coming from you?" Emma's face turned purple with embarrassment. "What? No, it's my hoodie." Emma grabbed my arm. "We have to go." "But we just got here." We rushed out to the car. Emma was mortified. "I can't believe Lisa said that in front of everyone. She was just trying to help." "Help by saying I smell like sewage?" "She didn't say sewage, she implied it." In the car, Emma ripped the hoodie off and threw it in the back seat. "This thing is cursed." "Is it really cursed, or does it just need a better wash? I've washed it multiple times." "Maybe using vinegar would help." She shot me a death glare. I thought it was over Tuesday night. The hoodie stayed in the back seat of her car, but on Wednesday morning, she walked out of the bedroom wearing it. "Why are you wearing that?" I asked. "The rest of my clothes are in the laundry. I need something comfortable." "That's the stinky one." "I left it in the car all night with the windows cracked. Fresh air." She grabbed her bag and went to work, still wearing the hoodie. Wednesday night, she came home furious. 3 people asked me if I stepped in something. "Did you?" "No, it's this stupid hoodie." She threw it on the floor. "I've washed it twice. Why does it still smell?" "Maybe it's permanently ruined." She stared at the hoodie. "But I love this hoodie." It was time to let it go. She looked up at me. "Did you do this?" "Do what?" "The smell. Did you do something?" "I didn't touch your hoodie." "You hated it. You wanted me to get rid of it. So what? You spilled some product on it?" "I didn't do anything." "Then why does it smell like toilet water?" "That's strangely specific," I said. She picked up the hoodie, sniffed it again. Her eyes widened. "Oh my God, did you use this to clean the toilet?" I didn't say anything. "Jake, you wouldn't." "You wouldn't get rid of it. You wore it all the time. It was your ex's." "So you used it to scrub the bowl." "I did a deep clean. The toilet is spotless now." "You used my hoodie as a toilet brush." "Our toilet. And technically it wasn't even your hoodie. It was Chad's." Wrong thing to say. She screamed, a genuine scream, threw the hoodie in my face, ran to the bedroom and slammed the door. I stood there, holding the hoodie, realizing maybe I had gone too far. I knocked on the door. "Emma, go away." "Can we talk? I'm sorry." "You should be. It was just a hoodie." "It was your favorite hoodie. It was your ex's hoodie. And now it's ruined. That was kind of the goal." She looked up at me. "You are unbelievable. You wouldn't listen to me because you thought it wasn't a big deal. And it wasn't. It was to me. So your solution was to clean the toilet with it?" "Yes, our toilet. Where we poop?" "Correct. And you let me wear that multiple times in public." "I didn't let you. You insisted on wearing it. I didn't know you would be oblivious to it. I thought you would smell it right away." "I did. I just thought it needed to be washed." "To be fair, it did." She stared me down. "I wore that to work. My coworkers thought I smelled like sewage." "I know. I'm sorry about that part." "That part? What other parts are there?" "Look, I overreacted. I shouldn't have done that. But you also wouldn't listen to me when I said it bothered me." "So your solution was to destroy it?" "My solution was to make you not want to wear it anymore." "Well, congratulations, it worked." She slammed the door again. I stood there feeling like an idiot. On Thursday, she didn't talk to me, left early, came back late, slept on the couch. Friday was the same. Saturday morning, I woke up and found her sitting at the kitchen table. The hoodie was in front of her, inside a garbage bag. "I'm throwing it away," she said. "Okay. I should have done that months ago." "Yeah," she looked at me. "You're an asshole." "I know, but you were right.
It was weird to keep it. I sat down. Still, I shouldn't have used it to clean the toilet. No, you really shouldn't have. I'm sorry. I should have talked to you more. You did talk to me. I just didn't listen. She looked at the garbage bag. I kept it because it reminded me of a simpler time. College, no responsibilities. Everything was easy. That makes sense. But it wasn't fair to you for me to keep wearing my ex's clothes while we're together. I appreciate that. She stood up, grabbed the bag. This is going in the dumpster. Do you want me to come? No, I need to do this myself. She left, came back 10 minutes later, empty-handed. It's gone, she said. How do you feel? Lighter, actually. She smiled. But you're still an asshole. Fair enough. You owe me a new hoodie. I'll buy you 10. I want a good one, nothing cheap. Deal. On Sunday, we went to the mall. We spent 2 hours trying on hoodies. She chose a navy blue North Face one, $120, worth every penny. She wore it home. This is really comfortable. Better than the old one? Let's not compare. Fair. That night, she watched TV leaning against me in her new hoodie. Peaceful. Thanks for the hoodie, she said. You're welcome, even though you're still an asshole. I know, she smiled, but you're my asshole. Monday morning, I woke up and found her wearing the new hoodie, making coffee, humming. Good morning, I said. Morning, she gave me a kiss. I want eggs. You got it. As she cooked, I sat at the table. Hey, she said, just so you know, if you ever use my clothes to clean the toilet again, I'm using your favorite t-shirt to scrub the floor. Fair. And your gaming headset is going to become a kitchen sponge. Got it. And I get it. I'll never do it again. She smiled. Well, 2 weeks later, we were at Target walking through the home goods section. Emma was looking at towels. We need new towels for the bathroom. These are nice, but too expensive. We kept looking. We turned the corner, and there was a display of University of Michigan gear, including a stack of gray, oversized hoodies, identical to the old one. Emma froze, staring. I waited. She walked up to one, touched the fabric, felt it, then looked at me. You know what, Jake? What? I don't miss it. No? She dropped the hoodie and came back to my side. I like my new one better. Yeah, it doesn't smell like a toilet. I laughed. She laughed. We bought the blue towels. On the way home, she was quiet. Then she asked me, "Can I ask you something?" Sure. Did you really think I would stop wearing the hoodie just because it stank? Honestly, I thought you would smell it right away and throw it out. I didn't, though. You wore it for 3 more days. In my defense, I thought it just needed to be washed. You washed it twice. It still stank. That should have been a clue. It should have. She paused. Would you have told me if I had asked you directly?
Yes, and what if I had never found out? You probably wouldn't have. So you were just gonna let me wear a toilet cleaning hoodie forever? I figured you'd realize eventually. I almost didn't realize. Yeah, that was a miscalculation on my part. She laughs. This is the weirdest story I'll ever have to tell. At least it has a happy ending. Does it though? You got a new hoodie. The old one is gone. We solved the problem. That's a happy ending, I think. She looks at me. But seriously, never again. Never again. 3 months later, we're at a party. Emma's friend Rachel is there. She pulls me aside. So, Emma found out what happened to the hoodie? She found out and I used it to clean the toilet? Rachel stares at me and then bursts out laughing. You're kidding me! Nope. And she still wore it for 3 days in public. Rachel is tearing up from laughing so hard. Oh my God, that is amazing. She was pretty mad when she found out. I can imagine. Rachel wipes her eyes. But honestly, that hoodie needed to go. It was weird. Thank you. Still an insane but effective method. That's exactly what I told her. Emma walks up. What are you guys talking about? Nothing, Rachel says, still smiling about the hoodie. The hoodie, I say. Emma groans. Can we please stop talking about the hoodie? But it's such a great story, Rachel says. It's embarrassing, it's hilarious. You smelled like a porta potty at work, but now you have a great party story. Emma glares at me. You tell this story to people? Only when they ask. And how often do they ask? This is the first time. Keep it that way. Rachel is still chuckling.
I'm sorry, but the image of you wearing the toilet scrubbing hoodie to the grocery store is too good. I didn't know it was the toilet scrubbing hoodie, but you kept wearing it even after it started smelling common. I thought it just needed a double wash. Emma throws her hands up. Okay, fine. I was in denial. Happy? Very, I say. She gives me a death glare, but she's smiling. 6 months after the incident. We're moving. Bigger apartment, better neighborhood, boxes everywhere. Emma's packing up the closet. She pulls out a box. Hey, remember this? It's a box of college stuff. Photos, notebooks, a teddy bear, and at the bottom, a University of Michigan t-shirt. She holds up the shirt. This was Chad's too. I tense up. Are you keeping it? She looks at the shirt, then at me, then back at the shirt. Then she walks over to the trash bag and drops it in. No, like it's just a shirt. I have plenty, but that one is from a relationship that ended 6 years ago. I'm over it. She comes back, kisses me. You know what I'm not over? What? You using my stuff to clean the bathroom. I said I was sorry. You did, and I forgive you, but I will never forget. Fair enough, she smiles. But seriously, thank you. For what? For caring enough to be an asshole about it. Most guys would just silently resent it forever. You're welcome. That's a compliment. I'll take it. We finish packing, move into the new apartment. We hang up our clothes in the bigger closet. Emma's new navy blue hoodie is right in the front. Worn out now, her favorite. Mine is next to it. Sometimes we match. It's a little cheesy. We don't care. The toilet in the new place is spotless because now I clean it the right way with actual cleaning supplies. And Emma, she wears the new hoodie all the time. In the morning, on movie nights, when she's cold, when we argue and she needs comfort. But now it's hers. It's not a reminder of someone else. It's her hoodie. And honestly, that makes all the difference. Even if I had to scrub a toilet with her old one to get here. Toilet Reddit comment of the day. Look, at the end of the day, nothing says healthy relationship like scrubbing a toilet with your girlfriend's ex's sentimental hoodie. Therapy, communication, maturity, nonsense. The true path to marital bliss is turning emotional keepsakes into cleaning tools. And the most impressive part? It worked. She moved on from the ex, got a new hoodie, and even learned to smell her own clothes before wearing them. Personal growth all around.
My wife mocked me to her friends, saying, "He's awful in bed." But it all blew up in her face when her best friend burst out laughing and replied, "Actually, he's amazing." I thought my week couldn't get worse until 2 women showed up at my door ready to kill each other over me. My wife turned our anniversary dinner into a roast about me and our sex life. But by the end of the night, she was the one exposed in front of everyone. It all exploded on a Friday night. It was our anniversary dinner at home, which Kira insisted on hosting because she wanted to impress her friends. 5 couples were squeezed into our dining room. Expensive drinks were flowing, and everyone was just pretending to care about each other's boring lives. I'm 34. I was sitting next to my wife, Kira, 32. After my second glass of soda, I was keeping my head on a swivel for when someone would ask how we kept the flame alive after all this time. Kira lets out that loud laugh, the one she thinks is charming, but is actually just annoying. She gestures towards me, rid with her wine glass, almost spilling it. Let me tell you guys about our love life. I already feel the disaster coming. She always does this when she drinks too much and wants attention. Rid's idea of foreplay is asking if I'm ready yet, she continues. And look, 30 seconds after asking, he's already rushing to the finish line, and everything is so mechanical, it looks like he's following IKEA instructions. Laughter ripples around the table. I take a sip of my soda. Seriously though, she keeps going, getting louder. It's always the same, completely routine. I could actually set a timer. 2 minutes of kissing if I'm lucky, and then it goes straight to the point for exactly, and I mean exactly, 4.5 minutes. She makes a little hand gesture. Monica is laughing so hard she's crying. The husbands give that awkward chuckle, not knowing whether to laugh or defend the guy being humiliated. I just sit there, unmoving. I don't say a word. I let her dig her own grave. Every sentence she says is another nail in the coffin she's building for herself. The worst part? Kira leans in like she's telling a secret, but she speaks loud enough for everyone to hear perfectly. And worst of all, he thinks he's good. He actually believes he's doing something for me. Bless his heart. That's when her best friend Sloane puts her wine glass down on the table. Funny, Sloane says, completely calm. Because Rid is incredible in bed. Total silence. You could hear a pin drop. Kira's face goes from drunk and amused to confused, then furious in 2 seconds flat. "Excuse me," she snaps, her voice ice cold. Sloane shrugs, takes a sip. Just telling the truth. From my personal experience, he definitely doesn't follow IKEA instructions. I just stay quiet, drinking my soda and watching my wife's brain try to process that. It was better than any script I could have written. The whole table is frozen. Monica's jaw drops. One of the husbands coughs, not knowing where to look. Kira looks at Sloane, then me, then Sloane again. "Are you kidding me?" Kira says. "Nope," Sloane smiles. "Just correcting your story. Facts are facts." Okay, before you think I'm the biggest traitor in the world, let me go back and explain what really happened. Why that dinner? That was the finale, the decisive move, the cherry on top. But to understand, you need to know how we got there. Kira and I got married 4 years ago. We dated for 2 years before that. In the beginning, everything was good. She was ambitious, determined, fun. I liked how she knew what she wanted. I was 28, working in logistics for a mid-sized manufacturing company. Solid salary, good benefits. She was 26, working at a consulting firm making decent money but nothing crazy. Over time, something changed. She got 2 promotions, started earning about $15,000 more than she did at the start, and suddenly she was acting like she was the breadwinner, like I wasn't her partner anymore. I was the assistant, the handyman, the guy who took care of everything annoying while she focused on her career, her friends, and whatever else was important to her that week. I did the grocery shopping, cooked, cleaned, organized our social life around her schedule and work events, and smiled while looking like a prop next to her. And yeah, our sex life was bad, but not because I didn't try. It was because she treated everything like another task on her schedule. Do it, finish it, move on with the day. Until 3 weeks ago, everything changed. Kira left her phone on the kitchen counter while she was showering. It vibrated. I looked, I wasn't snooping. It was just a notification, a message from Jared, work, saying, "Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Wear that black thing again." Jared, the co-worker she'd mentioned a few times, the guy she was staying late with at the office because of the project. I picked up the phone, opened the messages, 6 months of conversations, photos, plans, hotel reservations, everything. But the thing that destroyed me the most wasn't just the cheating, it was what she said about me. "Jared, when are you going to leave him?" Kira, "I don't know. He's useful, does everything at home, doesn't complain. It's like having a very obedient roommate who pays half the bills." Jared, "He doesn't sound much like a husband, Kira." Kira, "He's not. He's boring as hell. I swear to God, Jared, that man has the personality of a wet rag. And don't even get me started on the intimate part. I have to fake everything or he'd be even more pathetic." Damn, Kira. "Yeah, you are a real man. He's just, I don't know, a placeholder, I guess, until I figure out what I really want long term." There was more, dozens more. Her mocking my job, my hobbies, my clothes, calling me predictable, safe, boring. He's so easy to manipulate, it's almost sad. I tell him I need him to do something, and he just does it. No back talk, no argument. It's like being married to a golden retriever. I settled for him because he was stable. That's it. He was there, he was safe, and I thought that was what I wanted. But I realized I wanted someone with a real backbone. The intimacy is genuinely awful. I literally have to think about anything else or I'll die of boredom.
Last time, I mentally reorganized my closet while he was doing his thing. Period. I read all the messages, took screenshots of everything, sent them to myself, and deleted the sent messages from her phone. Then I got up, made breakfast, and acted like nothing happened. The following Monday, I called a lawyer on my lunch break. I booked a consultation for Wednesday. I started gathering all our financial documents, bank statements, mortgage papers, investment accounts, everything. I found out that most of our assets were in my name. The house was mine before the marriage. The car I used was paid off and registered in my name. Our joint account had maybe $8,000. Everything else was separate. The lawyer said my situation was excellent. No kids, clear proof of adultery, most assets protected. We could move fast if I wanted to. I wanted to. We spent 2 weeks preparing everything. We filed the paperwork but hadn't served her yet. I secured the bank accounts, changed all the passwords, made copies of all the important documents. Kira had no idea. She'd come home every day, complain about work, eat the dinner I made, and go to sleep. Meanwhile, I was taking our marriage apart piece by piece, and she was too busy texting Jared to even notice the Sloan part. Sloan and Kira have been friends since college, but it's that competitive friendship where one tries to one-up the other constantly. Kira got the better job, Sloan got the hotter boyfriend. Kira got married first. Sloan had a bigger engagement party, a ping-pong match for years. A year ago, Kira stole a client from Sloan. They worked at competing consulting firms, and Kira snagged a massive account from Sloan right before she was about to close it.
This cost Sloan a promotion and a 6-figure commission. Sloan has hated her ever since. She smiled to her face, but she plotted behind her back. 2 weeks ago, on a Thursday morning, she called me. Didn't text, called. That's how I knew it was serious. "Can you meet me?" she asked, with a tension in her voice that meant now. We met at a diner 2 blocks from my office. She was already sitting in a booth when I arrived, coffee on the table, looking like she was sitting on a ticking time bomb. "You're going to want to sit down for this," she said. I sat. She took out her phone, scrolled for a bit, stopped, and looked straight at me. "I ran into Melissa yesterday. Remember her from Kira's old job?" "I do." "She still talks to a few people at the firm, including Kira." Sloan leaned in. "She told me something about Kira. And that guy, the one she's been seeing?" I kept my face neutral. "Go on." Sloan studied me for a second, then nodded. "How long?" "A few weeks. I found the messages on her phone." "And you didn't say anything?" "I'm observing, collecting information." I looked straight into her eyes. "What did Melissa tell you?" Sloan's expression hardened. "That everyone at the firm knows. They've been laughing about it for months, like it's some spicy office romance." She paused. "But that's not why I called you." I waited. Sloan slid her phone across the table. It was notes Melissa had sent her. "She wants you to accept that director promotion, the one with the huge raise. Then she files for divorce. That way she maximizes what she gets in the settlement." Everything went cold and clear at the same time. Her sudden interest in my career, the way she asked about the compensation package, the enthusiasm when I mentioned the stock options, the way she pressured me to take the job before the end of the year. She wasn't being supportive, she was setting up the hit. "When exactly did she call the lawyer?" I asked. 2 Tuesday mornings ago. Melissa was grabbing something from her car and heard the whole thing. Kira asked the lawyer to get everything ready but not to file until she gave the green light. Said she needed a few more weeks to secure everything. Secure everything, like I was a bank account she was about to bust into. Melissa also said their affair has been going since May. Hotel on Wednesdays, sometimes Friday lunches that turn into them vanishing until late afternoon. Sloan looked disgusted. Everyone at that firm knows it. They even joke about it at their happy hours. I nodded slowly.
I let the rage settle somewhere cold and useful. I already suspected the affair was older than the messages showed. Now, I was certain. And the divorce plan explained everything that hadn't made sense for the last month. "Thank you," I said, "for telling me. What are you going to do?" I looked at Sloan. I really looked at her. She had crossed town to warn me. She could have stayed out of it. She could have let me walk into the trap unknowingly. But she didn't. Not even after Kira spent years excluding her and turning mutual friends against her. I said, "I'm going to destroy everything, and I need your help." Sloan smiled, sharp and cruel. "What do you need?" Kira came home that night around 7 p.m., humming. Yes, humming. Her hair still wet from a shower I knew very well hadn't been at the gym. "Hi, honey," she said, all smiles, kissing my cheek as if nothing was wrong. "How was your day?" "Good. Productive. Great." She dropped her bag on the counter and started talking about a meeting that definitely didn't happen. I watched her lie to me with the ease of someone who's done it for years. When she finally shut up, I stood up and walked over to her. She was surprised when I pulled her close. "What is this?" she asked. "Just felt like it," I replied. What happened next had nothing to do with love. It was about taking back something she thought she could trade for someone else and still keep. Every move was calculated, deliberate. I watched her face the entire time, memorizing every expression, every second she forgot to feel guilty. When she finally fell asleep afterwards, curled up in the sheets and satisfied, I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling. I thought about Sloan, about Melissa, about everyone at that firm who knew my wife was cheating and found it entertaining. I thought about the divorce papers she already had cocked and loaded with her lawyer, her plan to wait for my promotion to maximize the money she'd take. She wanted to play the long game. Fine, I'd play too. By Friday morning, Kira was in the best mood I'd seen her in months, singing in the shower, picking out her outfit for the dinner like it really mattered. "I'm so excited for tonight. Finally introducing you to everyone?" "Yeah, it should be interesting." She had no idea that Sloan had already sent me 3 texts that morning, or that I had sent Sloan screenshots of the conversations where Kira called her pathetic, a failure, and jealous. Sloan had seen everything, the affair, the hotel, the lawyer. She didn't just want to help anymore, she wanted blood. Kira kissed me goodbye, said she loved me. I watched her walk out the door, still humming, still playing her part. I spent the day putting my plan into action. I signed the lease for a new apartment. I scheduled the movers for Saturday. I withdrew half the savings from the joint account and moved it into an account solely in my name. I changed all the passwords, backed up all my files, packed a suitcase and put it in the trunk of my car. I called my boss, refused the promotion, and said I needed time to think about my next steps. He was confused but understanding. Kira would file for divorce, expecting a huge payout. She would receive pennies. By Sunday, I'd be gone from her life. She just didn't know it yet, and the look on her face when she found out would be priceless.
I scrolled. Here is a good one. You told him you mentally reorganized your closet during our intimacy because I was so boring. Kara tried to grab my phone. I pulled it back. I also found out about your divorce lawyer, I continued, the one you hired 2 weeks ago. The plan was to wait until I accepted that promotion so you could maximize the settlement payout. I smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. Smart plan. Would have worked too if Melissa hadn't overheard you in the parking garage. Monica stood up. I think we should go. Yeah, one of the husbands said, already grabbing his jacket. This feels pretty personal. They scattered like cockroaches when the light comes on. Chairs scraping, awkward goodbyes, no one making eye contact. The apartment emptied in less than 2 minutes.
except for Sloane. She stayed seated, wine glass in hand, watching the show. Kara waited until the door closed, then she turned on me like a cornered animal. "You have no right after what you just admitted. You slept with my best friend." "Ex-best friend," Sloane corrected from the table. "And you had no problem sleeping with Jared for 6 months while I cooked your dinner, washed your clothes, and showed up at your work events like a trained dog, all while you told him I was useful, a placeholder, a bill-paying roommate." "That's different." "How?" I asked. She stammered. She actually stammered. "Because I was going to leave you anyway." "You were going to leave me after stealing every last penny when the promotion came through." "Yeah, I know." I stood up. "But here's the thing, Kara. I declined the promotion yesterday." Her face did something I'd never seen, a complete system crash. "You what?" "I declined it. Told my boss I needed to think about my career path." I walked to the kitchen, grabbed a folder from a drawer, walked back, and tossed it onto the table. "Divorce papers, already filed, by the way. They'll be officially served on Monday, but I figured you didn't need to wait." She picked up the folder with shaking hands and flipped through the pages. "You're keeping the house, the car, everything? Everything is mine?" "The house was mine before we got married. The car is in my name. The joint accounts have already been split. You get half, about $4,000. Everything else has always been separate." I sat down again. "You'll be keeping exactly what you brought into this marriage, which is basically nothing." Kara looked up, eyes brimming with those manipulative, crying-on-demand tears she used when she wanted something. "Rid, honey, we can fix this. I made mistakes, I know, but we can go to therapy, work this out. I love you." "You don't," I replied dryly. "You loved what I did for you. The free labor, the emotional support, the stability. But you don't love me. You said so yourself. I'm boring, predictable, a placeholder." "I didn't mean it." "Yes, you did." I stood up again. "And honestly, I don't care anymore. It's over. You need to leave." "This is my house too." "No, it's my house. My name is on the deed, and I want you out today." "You can't just kick me out." "Actually, according to my lawyer, since the property is mine and we are legally separated as of this afternoon, I can ask you to leave. Your family lives 20 minutes away. Go to your mother's house." Kara's face twisted into an ugly snarl. "You're doing this over one mistake?" 6 months is not a mistake, it's a lifestyle. I pointed at the door. "Grab your things and go." That's when she lunged at Sloane. I'm not kidding, a full-on attack, crossing the room with her hands clawed, screaming something incoherent about betrayal and fakery. I intercepted her, grabbed her arms, and held her back while she thrashed. "Let go! That witch destroyed my marriage!" "You destroyed your marriage," I replied, keeping my voice level while she tried to kick me. "She just told the truth." She writhed, managed to pull one arm free, and swiped at Sloane, missing badly. Sloane didn't even flinch. "You planned this? You two planned this whole thing to humiliate me?" "Actually," Sloane said, still calm, "I just answered a question. The humiliation was all yours." Kara let out another scream, a wordless, pure rage sound. I'd never seen her like this. The mask was completely gone. This was who she really was underneath all that fake charm. I walked her toward the door. She resisted the whole way, rambling about lawyers, revenge, and how I was going to regret this. I opened the door with one hand, still holding her with the other, and practically shoved her into the hallway. "Go, now!" "She's not over, Rid. Do you hear me? This is not—" I slammed the door in her face, locked it, and leaned against it for a second while she banged and screamed from the other side. Then silence. Footsteps in the hall. The elevator chimed, and it was over. I turned around. Sloane was still at the table, looking far too comfortable. "You should probably go, too," I said. She raised her eyebrow. "Seriously? Seriously? After I helped you? After I gave you the information you needed?" And I truly appreciate it, I said, starting to gather the wine glasses. But you both know you didn't do this for me. You did it because you hate Kara. Sloane stood up, smoothing her dress. Can it be both? It can. But either way, you need to leave. She approached me, doing that thing some women do when they think they're being seductive. Hand on my arm, head tilted, a little smirk. We could have some fun, you know. Just us. No drama, no exes, just us. Her fingers trailed down my R form. I looked at her hand on my arm, then at her face. She actually thought this was going somewhere. She thought just because she showed up today and helped expose Kara, we had some kind of connection now. Sloane, I'm not interested. Her smirk faltered. Oh, come on. Don't pretend you haven't thought about it. I haven't. Bullshit. She moved closer, pressing her body against me. Let me stay. We can celebrate the right way. I grabbed her wrist, not hard but firm. No. Why? Kara's gone. You won. We won. We didn't win anything together. You showed up uninvited, caused chaos because it gave you pleasure, and now you think that means something. I let go of her wrist and stepped away. It doesn't. She stared at me for a moment, her eyes hard. Then something shifted in her expression. Shame mixed with anger. The look of someone who realized they'd misread the entire situation. Wow, you're actually serious. Completely. You know what else? You're just like her. Use people when it's convenient and then toss them aside. Maybe I am, but at least I'm honest about it. I walked to the door and opened it. Thanks for showing up today. It worked out perfectly, but it ends here. She snatched her purse, quick, jerky movements. She walked to the door, stopped right in front of me. You are going to regret this. I doubt it. I looked into her eyes. You came here to feel powerful by destroying your ex-best friend. You got what you wanted. So did I. Now it's over. She left without another word. I closed the door, locked it, and stood there in my empty apartment, surrounded by half-full glasses and ruined dishes. And I smiled. For the first time in months, I truly smiled. The next 3 days were chaos. Kara blew up my phone. Texts, calls, voice messages.
It started with anger, then desperation, then anger again. I blacked her phone number on Saturday morning. She showed up at my apartment building on Sunday, pounding on my door for 20 minutes while I watched football with noise-canceling headphones on. Building security eventually escorted her out. On Monday morning, I got an email from her lawyer. All the standard threats. My lawyer responded with the proof of the affair and the prenuptial clause she had apparently forgotten about. Total silence after that. I went back to work that week, acted normal, did my job. Nobody knew anything yet, which was fine by me. Then, the Tuesday of the following week, I got a call from Jason, one of the guys who had been at the dinner. Dude, he said, did you hear about Kira? What about her? She got fired, like escorted out of the building yesterday. I straightened up in my chair. What? Yeah, I don't know the details, but apparently HR got an anonymous tip. Something about violating company policy. I was silent for a moment. You think it has something to do with... Jason let the sentence die. Probably, I replied. I thanked him and hung up. I sat there staring at the phone. Someone had sent HR the proof of the affair, and I had a pretty good idea who. Sloane. She called me the day after Kira's firing. She couldn't even wait. She was eager to tell me what she'd done. I sent everything to her HR, she said, overly proud. The dates, the screenshots, the hotel receipts, everything. They fired her on the spot. Jared, too. There was a pause, like she was waiting for me to thank her. I thought you deserved justice, she continued when I stayed quiet. We make a good team, don't you think? Team? As if this was some kind of partnership. It turns out, Kira used to brag to Sloane about everything when they were still friends. Before that dinner, Sloane told me Kira would show her screenshots, hotel photos, everything. She thought it was hot. She thought Sloane would be impressed. Sloane saved copies of everything just in case. Then, at the dinner, Kira pulled that move, called Sloan useless, and tried to humiliate her in front of everyone. Bad idea. Sloan waited a week and sent everything to Kira's HR. I laughed. I couldn't help it. The whole situation was ridiculous. She actually thought this made us allies or something. Right. It's over, Sloan. Goodbye. Wait, what? I hung up, blocked her number, and moved on. The company policy stated employees couldn't be involved, especially within the same hierarchical chain. Kira and Jared were fired in under 24 hours. I didn't get the full story until later, and it got even better. 2 weeks after the HR incident, Jason called again. You won't believe this. What now? The guy Kira was sleeping with, someone told his wife. I almost chuckled. Seriously. Apparently, she got an anonymous email with everything. Photos, messages, hotel records. The woman flipped out, posted everything on Facebook last night. It's everywhere now. His family is in the comments. People from his work are sharing it. The guy is getting destroyed. I stood there, processing. Sloan hadn't just gone after Kira, she'd gone after both of them. The Facebook post stayed up for 3 days before Jared's wife deleted it. But by then, it didn't matter. Everyone had already seen it. The screenshots were circulating, his parents stopped speaking to him, his wife filed for divorce. Meanwhile, Kira was desperately trying to find a new job. Good luck with that. When your former employer fires you over an affair and half your professional network sees the fallout, it's rough. By the end of the second month, the dust had practically settled. The divorce was progressing, Kira's career was ruined, her lover's marriage was over. His reputation was shredded. Then Wednesday rolled around. I was home around 6 p.m., heating up leftover pizza, when someone started knocking on my door. Not knocking, but pounding, in that aggressive way that says someone's having a terrible day and wants to share it with you. I looked through the peephole. Kira was there, and so was Sloan, both screaming at each other in the hallway. This is gonna be good. I opened the door and immediately regretted not grabbing popcorn. You ruined my life, Kira screamed before I could even say anything. You got me fired, you destroyed everything. I didn't get you fired, I replied calmly. You got yourself fired by sleeping with a coworker for 6 months, and HR just connected the dots. You sent them those emails. I actually did not. She did. I looked at Sloan. Her face turned red. You told her? Didn't have to. Basic logic. I leaned against the door frame. So what brings the two of you to my door? Starting a support group for women I've broken up with? That's when they turned on each other. This is your fault. Kira shoved Sloan hard. You couldn't just stay out of it. My fault, Sloan shoved back. You cheated on your husband and then went around bragging about it to anyone who would listen. You slept with him after I had already been cheating for 6 months. Now they were nose to nose. I backed up into my apartment, leaned against the wall, and watched. This was better than anything on TV. You think your mouth was unbelievable. After Ryan would listen, you slept with him after I had already been cheating for 6 months. Now they were nose to nose. I backed up into my apartment, leaned against the wall, and watched. This was better than anything on TV. You've always been jealous of me, Kira hissed. Always wanted what I had. My life, my job, my husband. I don't want your scraps, Sloan retorted. I just wanted to see you fall. You're pathetic. You've always been pathetic. That's why you can't keep a man. They all leave you. Wrong thing to say. Sloan's fist came up fast and cracked Kira's mouth with a snapping sound. Kira stumbled against the hallway wall, hand over her face. When she took her hand away, there was blood on her fingers and her bottom lip was already swelling. You broke my tooth, Kira said, now with a slight lisp. You broke my damn tooth. I lost everything.
I started laughing so hard I had to grab the door frame to keep from falling over. They both spun towards me as if I'd grown a second head. "You think this is funny?" Kira demanded, blood on her lip, hair messy, mascara running. She looked like a hyena that lost a fight with a lawnmower. "Honestly, it's the funniest thing I've seen all year, maybe ever." That's when something changed in Kira's face. The rage melted and turned to desperation. She turned to me, hands outstretched, like she was begging. "Please," she said, the lisp making it even more ridiculous. "Please, we can fix this. I made a mistake. I want you back." I looked at her. "You're kidding me, right?" "I'm serious." Now real tears were streaming. "I think I ruined everything. I know I did, but we can fix it. We can go to therapy or something. I'll do whatever it takes." "You want me back?" I started laughing again. "Kira, you just got fired for screwing around at work, and your ex-best friend just punched you in the face. What part of this train wreck makes you think I want to rebuild this garbage fire?" "But I love you," she said, the lisp worsening as her lips swelled. "I never stopped loving you." "You loved me so much you planned to leave me for Jared after taking half my money?" Sloan, who had been quiet, stepped forward. "He doesn't need you anymore, Kira. He needs someone who actually values him." "Oh no, here we go," I said. "Someone like you," I imagined. "Yes, someone like me." She moved closer. "We have chemistry. You felt it. I know you did." "Chemistry, R. Sloan. You slept with me to get revenge on your friend. That's not chemistry. That's spite with benefits. It was more than that, and you know it." She touched my arm. I moved away. "I can make you happy. I deserve you more than she does." It was surreal. Both of them in my hallway, one with a busted lip and a lisp, the other with a scratch on her face, both trying to convince me to choose them. "Let me get this straight," I said slowly. "Kira, you cheated on me, lied to me, and used me for emotional support while planning to take me to the cleaners." "Yes," Kira mumbled miserably.
Sloan, you pretended to be my friend, you slept with me specifically to hurt Kira, you reported her to HR, and now you think you deserve a relationship with me. When you put it that way, it sounds bad, Sloan said. That's because it is bad. I threw my hands up. You guys are crazy, completely nuts. I am not getting back together with either of you. I wouldn't date either of you if you were the last two women on Earth and human survival depended on it. But Kira started. No more buts, no more excuses, no second chances. I pointed down the hallway. I am done with both of you, forever. Get out of my building. That's when Kira grabbed a handful of Sloane's hair. Sloane screamed and pulled back. The two of them went down to the floor in a tangle of arms, legs, and designer clothes, rolling across my hallway carpet like they were fighting over the last slice of pizza. I watched for about 10 seconds, logging this absolute masterpiece of chaos into my memory. Then I pulled out my phone. All right, that's enough. I held up the phone. I'm calling the police. You have 5 seconds to get out of my building or I'm filing charges for assault, trespassing, and disturbing my pizza. They untangled themselves, panting. Kira's lip was balloon-level swollen. Sloane now had a scratch on her cheek and a torn blouse. "This is not over," Kira said, trying to sound threatening even with that lisp. "Yes, it is." I pointed to the end of the hall. "Get out. I don't want to see either of you, ever again." Sloane got up first, tried to fix her hair and look dignified, failed miserably. "You'll regret this." "I doubt it." She walked toward the elevator, not looking back, limping slightly. She probably twisted her ankle in the fight. Kira took longer. She just stood there staring at me as if she was waiting for something. Maybe an apology, a reconciliation, some sign that this wasn't real, that I would cave and take her back, like I had other times. I gave her nothing. I just stood there, arms crossed, completely impassive. Finally, she walked away too, one hand covering her mouth, the other wiping her eyes. I closed the door, locked it, and put the chain on for good measure. Then I walked back to my pizza, put it in the microwave, and replayed the whole scene in my head. "You broke my damn tooth!" I was still laughing when the microwave beeped. Best Wednesday of my life.
I discovered my wife was cheating on me with my brother. I divorced her and cut contact with my toxic family. Years later, everything took an unexpected turn. Just when I thought the betrayal had destroyed everything, they came back. I've been married to my wife, Raquel, 32, for 6 years. We have a very strong relationship. I'd say we had the normal drama of any couple over the years, but we grew through it and have a loving relationship. Everything was fine until about 8 months ago when my brother, Sam, 28, moved back to our hometown after living in Florida since he was 18. His long-term girlfriend broke up with him and moved to another city, leaving him devastated. The circumstances behind the breakup are still largely unknown. When my brother returned, he told us she was cheating on him with women. I didn't know her that well, but that sounded a bit absurd to me. I only met that woman 3 times because my brother only came home for Christmas and usually only stayed 3 or 4 days. She accompanied him twice during the 5 years they were together. The other time I met her was when my wife and I visited for a day during our vacation 3 years ago. She just didn't seem like the type of person who would lead a double life and leave Sam with nothing. I tried to talk to her once, but saw I'd been blocked, so I let it go. Sam moved back in with our parents, Greg and Jane. For the first month he was here, he struggled to find work. So I suggested that maybe Raquel could help him. She's in a high-level position at her company. I figured she had some pull. She did, and he got a spot in her department. It's a job in his field. To give some context, my brother and I were never very close. He's the golden child, at least for our father, and our mother is a doormat when it comes to our dad. It's not something very obvious, but rather a million little things. For example, we both got cars when we turned 16, but I got an 8-year-old Dodge Neon, and he got a 2-year-old Mitsubishi Eclipse. His sports practices, uniforms, and competitions cost thousands of dollars over the years. Some of those competitions were 6 or 7 hours away, and they never blinked an eye. Meanwhile, when I asked for $50 for a volleyball or basketball camp at the local college here in our town, they gave it to me, but it felt like I was asking them to build an arena just for me. What annoyed me the most was that when I was 17, I was out with my girlfriend, lost track of time, and came home 15 minutes after curfew. They took my car away for an entire month because of it. Then, the next year, when my brother came home 2 hours late smelling of cigarettes, he just got a reprimand. I wasn't exactly sad when he went to college and decided to stay in Florida. Despite all this, he started spending more and more time at our house. At first I thought it was cool because maybe he was trying to get closer to me, but then I started noticing that he and Raquel were getting very close. They'd talk for a long time about anything. They started having inside jokes. If I tried to chime in, they'd say, "Oh, that's work stuff." When I asked my wife, she just said they had a lot in common and were working together on several company projects. The first really strong red flag was that after about a month of this, he started being at our house when I got home from work. Raquel and I have different schedules. She works the traditional hours from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., and I work from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. This happened quite often. When I asked, the answer was always, "We had some work stuff to wrap up." 2 months ago, I noticed something that made me question my own sanity. I make the bed every day before I leave for work. I always leave the open side of the pillowcase facing the edge of the bed. Sam was there that day. When I got home, he had dinner with us, then went back to my parents' house. When we went to bed, I noticed that 2 of the pillowcases had the opening facing the middle. I asked her if she had been lying on the bed during the day. She looked a little shaken, but said, "No, why are you asking?" I replied, "The bed isn't the way I left it this morning." She insisted I must be mistaken because no one had been lying there. I checked her phone and laptop without her knowing and found nothing. But then again, they worked together 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and were still together after work. Why would they need to text? I felt like I was going crazy. 2 weeks ago, our parents invited us over for dinner. Everything was going fine until I saw something. Raquel was just walking by, and Sam lightly held her arm. She turned to him, and he whispered something, and then they touched foreheads. It was only for a second. Raquel quickly pulled away and kept walking. Sam just looked at me, smiled, and went back to what he was doing. I'm not an idiot. I know this is a mountain of red flags. I just didn't want to believe it. I have loved my wife since I was 21. I planned a weekend trip to the city. I was going to talk to her there about these things. I truly hoped it wasn't what I was thinking. Update. You are all right, and my world has been destroyed. We went on our weekend getaway. Friday night was good. We drank, danced, were intimate. The next day, we had more things planned, and I barely said anything. I truly thought she couldn't be doing that with him while doing this with me. I was so wrong. We were almost ready to start our Saturday when I asked her point blank if she was having an affair with my brother. Her eyes filled with tears, and she said yes. My heart shattered. I asked why. She said she was sorry, that she didn't want it to happen. She said they just clicked, and before she knew it, they were kissing and then going beyond that. I asked if she had slept with him in our bed before I got home from work. She just turned her face away in shame. I left right then. I had nothing but my bag and drove straight home without her. She took an Uber and arrived a few hours later with the rest of my things. She tried to apologize, but I didn't acknowledge anything. I just cried. She packed a suitcase and went to a hotel. The next day, I told my parents. They already knew. They said they were sorry for what happened and mentioned that Sam had left the night before and might not be back for a few days. I'm sure he went to stay with Raquel. This all happened 3 months ago. Our divorce is almost finalized. Raquel immediately rented an apartment, and Sam moved in with her. I only talked to her about the divorce. At first she said I could keep the house and the savings. I think that was guilt talking. After a few days, she backed out and said we'd have to split the house. I know that was Sam putting ideas in her head. I had already transferred all the money from the savings to a new account, so there was no fight on that part. Just like that, 9 years of my life are gone. She has no idea what she's getting into. He's the narcissist, and he'll discard her when he gets bored. Sam has been extremely cruel through all of this.
A few days after I found out, he tagged me in a Facebook post. It was a selfie of him and her, with her kissing his cheek from behind. The caption said, "Feeling loved." It was disgusting. I logged out of my account and deleted the app from my phone. About an hour later, he texted me saying, "Sorry man, didn't mean to tag you. No hard feelings. Hope we can still be close. You'll find your soulmate one day too." I blocked him. I blocked him on everything I could think of. My parents weren't much better. They pretended to be supportive at first. When I said I was going to cut contact with Sam and Raquel, my mom looked at me and said, "I'm sorry this happened. It shouldn't have happened this way, but your brother also deserves to be happy. You'll find someone, and then we can put this behind us." I was furious and told her about the post where he tagged me and the message he sent. My mother replied, "Well, you shouldn't even be on those things anyway." My dad didn't say anything the whole time. He just sat there. I asked him once what he thought, and he said, "I agree with your mother," then left the room. I'm going to cut off all contact with them too. The house will be sold soon, and I'm moving to another state. I won't tell anyone in my family where I'm going or when. In fact, I haven't even told them that's the plan. I'm done with all of them. I wish the worst for everyone. Update. Hi everyone. I know it's been a while since I last updated, but a huge situation has happened. I'll start by talking about myself. I recently got engaged. It took a lot of therapy for me to open up again. I tried dating shortly after settling down here in Minnesota. I went out with one woman, once, an okay first date, but I quickly realized how unbearable she was. After that, I swore I'd never get involved with any woman again. That's when I went to therapy, to process all the trauma from the betrayal by my wife and brother, as well as the abandonment by my parents. It was a difficult year, but I met Emily, 37. Emily is wonderful. She's a chef, and she and her fraternal twin sister Emma own a very successful restaurant and bar. I am so excited to build a future with her. Now, enough about me. I need to tell you about the audacity of my family. About a year and a half after I left, I was totally no contact with them. I didn't tell them where I moved
Only a few friends and a few closer cousins knew. One day, I came home and found a wedding invitation in the mail. It was the invitation for Raquel and Sam's wedding. It had a ridiculous photo of the two of them embracing in a sunflower field. Along with it came a letter from my parents. It basically read, "You need to forgive and move past this. We know things didn't happen in the best way, but we are family, and families overcome problems." They even said that Sam wanted me to be his best man, just as he was in my wedding. Like, what the hell? That letter reopened a lot of old wounds. At the time, my therapist got a lot of extra work because of it. Today, I find it funny. But at that moment, there was nothing funny about it. I didn't respond at all. The only thing I did was figure out which extended family member had passed my address to my ex's family, and I cut contact with those people too. And this brings us to the most recent drama. Last week, Raquel of all people, showed up at my apartment. Emily and I don't live together yet, but that will change soon. Raquel looked good, too good. She was clearly trying to look her best when she showed up. I asked, "What do you want?" She said, "I just want to talk. I'm sorry for what I did. Sam and I are getting divorced. I found out he was unfaithful our entire marriage. Surprise, surprise. I don't expect you to take me back, but we should talk and get some closure for both our sakes." I blinked twice. Like, what? She had lost touch with reality. I looked her straight in the eye and said, "No, I am not giving you any closure. You made your bed, now lie in it. Did you really think that the Golden Boy ladies' man, who had more traffic than the Holiday Inn, was going to put up a no vacancy sign just because you put a ring on him? You are even dumber than I thought. I don't forgive anything. I don't want anything from you. I don't care. I'm better now, and I always will be. You can go to hell." Then I turned around and went back into my apartment, locking the door behind me. I immediately called my landlord, who is the sweetest old man in the world. Over these 4 years, I've become quite close to him, and he knows about my previous marriage. Raquel was still standing there in the hallway. A few minutes later, his 2 nieces, who help with the building's maintenance, showed up and informed Raquel that she was not welcome there and was on a ban list. If she came back, they would call the police for trespassing. I expected that to be the end, but it wasn't. I have a very easy work schedule now from 9 to 5. Because of this, I go to the restaurant almost every night Emily is managing. I don't get in the way, I just hang out, enjoying the few minutes she can give me between tasks. I've become friends with most of the staff, which includes many of Emily and Emma's relatives. Honestly, it's the family environment I always wanted. I was there the next night when Raquel walked in and just came and sat down at my table. It was a slow Tuesday. Emily noticed immediately and came over to see if I was okay. She recognized Raquel from the photos I had shown her. Emily extended her hand to Raquel. Emily just looked at her hand and then asked me, "Do you want me to kick her out?" I said, "Not yet. I have 1 or 2 more questions." Raquel perked up as if she was winning something. I asked her what happened between her and Sam. I admit, it was pure morbid curiosity.
She said he was having at least 2 affairs with married women. Old habits die hard, I guess. She said this had been going on for 2 years. She tried to look sad and said it was a difficult phase for me. I rolled my eyes and interrupted. "You're not that stupid. Did you protect yourself, or did he end up with half of your things?" She replied with an arrogant little smile. "I put up with him for almost another year to manage to hide money and sell some assets. In the end, he got a fraction of what he normally would." I asked, "And what happened to him afterward?" She replied, "He had to move back in with your parents again." I smiled, satisfied, and said, "Great, that's what I wanted to hear. You can leave now." Emily finished sternly, "You heard him? Get out of my restaurant." Raquel started, "But I cut her off. "No forgiveness, no closure. I just wanted to know that my failed brother moved back home. Get lost." Emily stood up and pointed toward the door. Raquel looked around and saw that the bartender and 2 of the waiters were glaring at her. She stood up, completely deflated, and walked toward the door. Emily added, "And if you ever come back?" Raquel quickly interrupted. Okay, I know. Police, trespassing, etc." After she left, almost everyone came over to ask if I was okay. It was both nice and a little embarrassing. My future in-laws, whom I adore, called and practically demanded that I stay with Emily for the next few days, just for safety. It was very sweet. I never had a family care for me like that. I haven't heard anything from Raquel since then, and honestly, I hope I never do again. Final update. First, about me. I am now a 41-year-old father of 2 girls, one 6 and one 2. Emily and I are doing very well. Today, I work part-time as the administrative manager for the restaurants and am mostly a stay-at-home dad the rest of the time. Emily's cousin bought a share of the business and we opened a second location 3 years ago. It's been a lot more work, but with the 3 of us heavily involved in both locations, we've been very successful, and it still allows each of us some personal time. It wasn't exactly the plan, but I'm almost certain I got Emily pregnant when I stayed with her after her parents demanded I do following my last post. Now they joke and say they always wanted to be in charge, and it was all part of their plan. After the last time Raquel tracked me down, I thought it was only a matter of time until my parents or brother showed up. It didn't happen right away. I relaxed a bit because I felt like I had a complete support system and went back on social media. I remained no contact with most of my family, including my extended family, but I also had no illusion that they couldn't find me if they really tried. It wasn't until after our first daughter was born that I received the first message. It was from my father. He gave a half-hearted apology, said something about forgiveness, and asked about his granddaughter. I was gonna block him immediately, but the implication that my daughter was his granddaughter disgusted me. So I replied, "You don't have grandchildren. I am not your son, and therefore my children have no relation to you whatsoever. If you want grandchildren, then you should encourage Sam to go out there and do what he does best." Then I blocked him. He created other accounts and tried to contact me for a while, but I always ignored or deleted any requests or messages. This brings me to the recent drama. I started receiving a flood of requests and messages to get in touch with them. I read a few. It was a sob story about missing the life of their grandchildren and wanting to reconnect. I didn't care. I had no intention of including them in my life again. Then came the most absurd part. Sam started reaching out to me too. He didn't say much, just that he really wanted to talk to me. After about 3 weeks of this, I agreed to a Zoom meeting. Just me, no kids. As soon as the call started, they kept asking to see the girls. I was firm. That wasn't going to happen. They already had 3 grandparents, and that was it. Emily's mother, father, and grandmother. I was starting to think this was about something else. Sam looked pretty rough, and my parents looked old and tired. When we started talking, they began apologizing for everything that happened, right up to Sam. He said he was wrong for what he did and wanted his brother back. I found that laughable. My father then took over and went into that usual garbage speech about being family and taking care of each other. When he finished, I just looked at him and said, "Is that all you have to say? I'm hanging up." They yelled for me to wait, and the facade dropped. The real reason finally emerged. Apparently, Sam had been having health problems for the last few years. For some reason, his kidneys are failing and he needs a transplant. That's why they were trying to talk to me so insistently. A family member has a much higher chance of being a compatible donor. I asked directly, "So that's why you called me? You want me to save him after what he did? Cheating with my wife wasn't enough. Now he needs a piece of my body, too." My father exploded. "Stop being like this. This was all a long time ago." He started choking up, crying, and continued, "I understand. You hate us. But he'll die if he doesn't get the transplant soon. Is that what you want? I know you think he destroyed you in the worst possible way. But please, just once, can you let it go?" I remained silent, waiting to see if they would say anything else. Eventually, my mother spoke. "Look, we are sorry for everything that happened, but we're in really big trouble. Between his medical bills and him not being able to work, my father and I are getting older and have our own problems too. We're drowning. We need you to come back to Missouri to see if you're a match, but we also need help, or we're going to end up losing the house."
"So you need my kidney and my money?" I said. "Don't put it that way," she replied. Then Sam chimed in. Please, just come home. I need my older brother. I don't want to die. Can you just come and see if you're a match? If you're not, we'll never bother you again." I told him I needed to think, do some research, and that I would give them an answer the following night. I ended the call and went to talk to my wife. She said she supported me 100%, whatever my decision was. Then she asked if we should travel as a family, or if only she should go with me. I said no to both options. I was going alone. I notified my former family that I would do the tests here in Minnesota, and if I was a match, I would go there and we could discuss the rest. About a week later, I got the results. Apparently, Sam and I were a perfect match. I agreed to fly back home to the area. When I arrived, Sam was already having some complications and had to be admitted to the hospital. This stopped everyone from pressuring me to have a family dinner, which I had no intention of doing. Especially since whenever I had a spare minute, my parents would revert to asking if I had thought about helping them with their financial difficulties. They managed to stabilize Sam, and I went to talk to the doctors who would perform the transplant. They started explaining the entire procedure, and I said I wanted to have that conversation with everyone present. So we all went to Sam's room. My parents were already there. A doctor began explaining the situation. Sam had at most 6 months to live without the transplant. They detailed the entire process and made a big deal about how I was a perfect match, that the chance of finding a more viable donor was minimal, and that the sooner we scheduled the surgery, the better. Then I walked up to Sam, took his hand, looked into his brown eyes, and said, "Did you hear that? I am a perfect match. Basically, I am the only person who can save you, and I won't. You are the most narcissistic piece of trash I have ever known. I only came all this way so you would know that the only person who could keep you alive is the person you destroyed the most. And now you are paying for it with your life. You are going to die. Make peace with that." Sam started crying desperately. My parents turned to attack me. The doctor and nurse stood there in total shock. I looked at my parents and said, "Don't even think about speaking to me, and never have the nerve to ask me for anything again. The only money I would spend on you would be for your funeral, provided you were cremated and the ashes were delivered to me, and the moment I received them, I would flush your remains down the filthiest chemical toilet I could find." After that, I walked out of the room and didn't look back. Now, I'm back home, my real home, surrounded by my real family, and I couldn't be happier. Reddit comment of the day. They didn't want family. They wanted a kidney with free shipping and an ATM with a guilty conscience. He was just good enough to confirm compatibility and remind them of the blood tie. Some bridges, when you burn them, light your way straight to the abyss. Good luck to them.
My wife denied me intimacy, but was hooking up with her personal trainer. I discovered the infidelity, found out the trainer was cheating on her with other women, and was getting paid, except by my wife, who was trading sex for steroids. I secretly switched his testosterone for estrogen, and her growth hormones for testosterone. She cried, and the homewrecker will never be the same. I knew something was wrong, but never imagined how far my wife had gone. She denied me any touch, but with her personal trainer, it was a different story. When I found out everything, I planned something that made her cry like never before, and the homewrecker? Well, he'll never be the same. My wife and I have been together for 8 years, married for the last 5. We met in college and both worked hard to advance our careers and increase our income. A few months after the wedding, my wife started gaining weight. Before college, she had been overweight and told me how it made her feel inferior to other women. She never wanted to return to that situation. Years later, she was 75 pounds, approximately 34 kilograms, overweight. This affected her self-esteem and also our intimate life. I was a gym goer. I invited her to join me, but she always refused, saying the gym floor made her feel self-conscious. When she exceeded the 75-pound mark, she decided to start frequenting a gym. She enrolled in a more female-oriented gym with lots of treadmills, bikes, and morning aerobics classes, which she started attending before work. After a year, she lost all the extra weight and then some. Her self-esteem returned and our intimate life improved. After another 6 months, my wife was more beautiful than ever. She also started getting spray tans, grew out her hair, and started dressing better. She looked fantastic, and I increasingly craved our intimate moments. Unfortunately, after a few months, this part of our relationship drastically decreased, almost disappearing. She would tell me she was too tired because of her workouts and suggested I take care of myself. When she first told me that, I felt like I'd been slapped across the face. At that moment, I was stuck between trusting her or suspecting infidelity. But I'm not the type to just wait for the worst to happen. If I was wrong, I'd apologize and move on. However, if I stood still, doubt would consume me. We have enough challenges in life without adding this uncertainty. I decided to put a voice recorder inside the lining of her purse and activate location tracking on her cell phone. That's how I discovered that on Tuesday and Friday mornings, she was meeting a special someone. They spent intimate moments in his apartment after the workout. His name was Jin, a health and fitness fanatic whose life revolved around being fit and looking good. His social media was filled with photos of him posing, working out, or participating in sports competitions. I don't know how I endured the next 3 weeks. I was in a whirlwind of despair, oscillating between rage and depression. I started working out more, both in the mornings and after work. I felt inadequate and thought improving my appearance might win her back. I started taking better care of myself and gained more muscle mass. However, my wife was in another world. She didn't even notice how strong I had gotten, much less how depressed I was. When I hit my lowest point, I decided that enough was enough. Financially, divorce would be simple. I decided to make this my personal therapy, once and for all, and never look back. After concluding my plan, what brought them together was fitness, so I would take that away from them. Furthermore, I wouldn't allow her to benefit from her own betrayal. The lover lived on the ground floor of an apartment building facing the pool. I bought a camera disguised as a lamp, installed it at the entrance of his apartment, and aimed it at the front door. To my surprise, Jin wasn't only with my wife, he was also meeting 3 other women from the gym. All married, they didn't even bother to take off their wedding rings. I also discovered that Jin had a bad habit. He didn't lock the door when he went to the pool. Every now and then a neighbor would show up to call him to her apartment where they would spend about an hour together. During one of his visits to the neighbor's apartment, I went into his apartment and installed cameras in every room. Luckily, he had those USB charger adapters everywhere. I replaced all of them with motion-activated hidden USB camera adapters and connected them to my computer, allowing for a continuous stream. I also took photos of everything in his apartment. I spent a few weeks watching the videos, and I admit he was meeting some very attractive women from the gym. My wife is a very beautiful woman, but 2 of these women were even more attractive, despite being slightly older. The third was the same age as my wife, but weighed about 20 pounds more. The meetups followed a predictable pattern of intimacy and interaction. He had a confident but nothing extraordinary demeanor. I found out that the 3 women were paying for his services, $300 for the most attractive ones and $200 for the overweight woman. My wife, however, wasn't paying anything. She was trading something with him. I later found substances in his apartment. Checking the labels, I realized they were human growth hormones. The lover was taking these hormones and other substances to enhance his performance. The neighbor also occasionally showed up on weekends at his apartment, and they spent time together. Telling my wife I would have a business trip to Los Angeles, I rented a car and drove to Tijuana. I hired an escort for a day and explained what I needed: multiple birth control prescriptions from different doctors. She told me she knew a better way. She pointed me to a pharmacist who supplied any quantity she wanted and mentioned that many women used him to get various medications. I asked if you could provide the product in liquid form for vape pen application, and she confirmed but said it was probably intended for animals. She called the pharmacist and arranged everything. I drove her to the pharmacy, we were introduced, I explained my need, paid, and left. I gave her 4 times what she said she earned per day, and yes, I used her services. After all, I hadn't had intimacy with anyone in almost a year. The lover frequently injected himself using a hidden stock of substances.
With the spare key I found during my first visit, I removed all the testosterone from the vials and replaced it with estrogen. Then I went home and swapped all of my wife's human growth hormones for testosterone.
Almost 2 months later, the effects began to show. First, my wife's muscles started growing visibly, and she began to lose emotional control, becoming aggressive. Her skin also started having more acne. I suggested she try a different type of spray tan. Meanwhile, the lover started looking softer physically. I saw he was frustrated after weighing himself in the bathroom during my wife's weekly visits. She looked like a different person. He started taking more substances to try to maintain his performance. My wife began to suspect that the growth hormones he gave her were different or in a higher dosage. He reassured her, saying there was nothing wrong. Desperate because he was changing, he increased the dosage of his injections. 4 months later, the lover lost all his connections, including my wife. He couldn't maintain his previous lifestyle and seemed to have lost interest. My wife, in turn, began having rage outbursts, followed by intense mood swings. Soon after, she would be angry at herself for losing control, followed by crying fits. The lover lost his job at the gym after breaking down in tears in front of everyone when teased about his appearance. According to a friend, he tried to lean on my wife for comfort, but she rejected him. When he insisted, begging for support, she snapped and punched him in the stomach. He fell to the floor, clutching his stomach and crying, while my wife humiliated him, calling him various names. As a result, she was also expelled from the gym. Neither the lover nor my wife sought a doctor for exams. They were likely taking so many illegal substances that they didn't want to find out what a doctor might say. The lover began developing even more severe physical changes and started losing hair. Eventually, he went to the doctor and had blood tests, which revealed a hormonal imbalance. Suspecting the thyroid, doctors ended up surgically removing it. He will now require lifelong treatment. My wife tried to enroll in another gym, but no longer had the same motivation. She regained all the weight she had lost, started losing hair, and developed a skin condition that affected her back, chest, buttocks, thighs, and face. She now began begging me for intimacy. I told her I would only be with her after I knew her condition wasn't contagious. Because of this, we haven't slept in the same bed for months. My wife finally went to the doctor. By this time, the substances had cleared from her system. The doctor referred her to an allergist and prescribed antidepressants. She was at rock bottom emotionally. The next morning, there was an envelope on the seat of my wife's car. Inside was a voice recorder, 2 photos, and a letter. The first photo showed my wife in a compromising situation with gin. The second showed my wife with a substance, and the medication label was clearly visible in the container next to her. The letter read, "I know you are having an intimate relationship with gin. I have video and audio recordings. I will leave you instructions to deliver $50,000 in $20 bills, or I will go to your husband with the evidence, in addition to taking the evidence of the illegal substance to the authorities. I will contact you later to inform you how to deliver the money." My wife listened to the recorder in our garage while I watched. She heard the sound of her interaction with Jin. There was also a snippet of the conversation where my wife was calling me a loser. I could see she was in shock upon hearing the recording. The shock was then replaced by anger. She started the car and sped away. On the GPS, I saw she was heading straight to Jin's apartment. Watching through the pool camera, I saw my wife punching his door. When he opened it, she leapt onto him and started beating him. Before he could push her away and calm her, his face was severely bruised and a large clump of hair was missing, and he didn't have much hair to spare. From the recordings in Jin's apartment, I could hear, "What the hell is wrong with you? You're trying to blackmail me, you worthless piece of trash? Me trying to what? Blackmail me, or you'll tell my husband and the police about my substance use. Why the hell would I do that? I have more to lose than you if this comes out. Idiot, you don't even have a wife to lose. The substances, I could go to jail for them." My wife stopped talking and held out the letter. Jin read it and said,
Damn, I'm sorry this is happening to you, but it's not me. In fact, I was just finishing packing my things. I'm moving back in with my parents until I can get a job and recover." He handed the letter back to her. It was then my wife realized that most of Jin's things were no longer there or were packed up.
Packed up. She also noticed that Jin had 2 black eyes and a cast from his knee to his foot. What the hell happened to you? Your husband isn't the only angry husband after me. My wife gave him a look. What do you mean? There are 3 other wives who keep coming after me. My wife screamed, You were with 3 other women while you were with me? Jin just said, I'm sorry, and started crying. Wrong answer. My wife grabbed his t-shirt and punched him hard, breaking his nose. Jin fell onto his back on the floor, leaving my wife staring down at him while holding the remains of the torn shirt in her hand. I told you you're worthless. If I find out you have anything to do with this, I will hurt you. Jin sat on the floor crying while my wife stormed out the door. That night after work, I noticed my wife was agitated. She didn't say a word. I left another letter in her car, instructing her to put the money in a gym bag and leave it in the trunk while she was at the gym. At the end of her workout, the bag was gone, and in its place was a cell phone. Using a voice changer, I called her the next day. I said that $10,000 was just a test. I said I would leave her alone if she withdrew all the money from the 401k, a retirement fund, and gave it to me. She lost her temper and said she would never do that. I simply thanked her for the $10,000 and wished her a good divorce, jail time, and that her family would find out what kind of unfaithful woman she was. After she tried to negotiate with me, I sent her one of the videos. Finally, she gave in. It took her a month to withdraw the money. I instructed my wife to leave the money in the trunk of my car while I was at the gym. That night, I ensured she would never hear from me again, especially since she was broke. Using GPS, I saw she was following me. She parked down the street to observe my car. I bought a package of protein powder, gave the car keys to the trainer, and asked him to put it in the trunk. Meanwhile, I went to work out. When I returned, I saw my wife stealthily leave and go to my trunk. The protein box was there, but the money was not. A few days later, I took her to a very expensive restaurant to celebrate our anniversary. The place required men to wear suits and ties and women to wear dresses. During drinks, I handed her the divorce papers along with photos of her affair. Her first question was, "How did you get these photos?" I replied, "I found them on the seat of my car after I left the gym." She started crying, said she loved me and that we could overcome this together. I said the evidence showed she had been meeting Jin for almost a year. Furthermore, I had heard some of the horrible things she said about me and even her plans to take all our money and run off with him. She cried even harder and said she would be the best wife a man could want. I replied calmly, "And that's exactly what got us into this mess. You lost weight, improved your self-esteem, and what did you do with it? You cheated on me. Now you're back to being the depressed person you were before, and I should take you back?" I paused for a few moments, looking at her. "You are just a disappointment." She remained motionless as my words echoed in her mind. She recognized them, but couldn't quite remember where she had heard them before. Then suddenly, understanding flashed in her eyes. As expected, she exploded. "You motherfucker! I'm gonna kill you!" she screamed at the top of her lungs before throwing her drink at me. As I backed away from the table and wiped my face, I accidentally pushed the table against her stomach. She interpreted this as an insult. Furious, she grabbed her salad and threw it at me. Then she grabbed a steak knife and jumped over the table trying to attack me. The tip of the knife tore the fabric of my suit jacket. At this point, I was quickly backing up, but she kept coming after me. Fortunately, she attempted an overhead strike, which allowed me to grab her arm. 2 waiters rushed over to help me, and we managed to pin her to the floor. As she struggled, she screamed that she was going to kill me. After we took the knife away from her, the waiters held her face down on the floor until the police arrived. When the police arrived, she was still furious. As soon as the waiters got off her, she surprised everyone by leaping up and trying to attack me again with another knife that had been under her while she was on the floor.
The officers subdued her with a taser, handcuffed her, and took her into custody. When questioned by the police, I briefly explained that I had served her divorce papers due to her infidelity. I said I started recording everything as soon as she started screaming, but I omitted that the recording had begun shortly after my comment about disappointment. After watching the video, the officers asked me to send a copy. After that, they left. The recording of the fight in the restaurant and the attempt to harm me ensured she would serve time in jail.
Furthermore, the evidence of infidelity favored me in the divorce. In the end, I kept all the money and assets, except for her car. Since my wife had embezzled a large portion of our assets, including her retirement fund, the judge ruled that she was responsible for paying me the part due to me. I stated that I believed the missing money, the $10,000 and the 401k amount, was still with her or her lover. She vehemently denied having the money and tried to claim it was all part of a plan of mine, but she had no evidence to support her accusation. As a result, she was ordered to pay me alimony for 5 years to compensate for the diverted money. As for me, I had a great weekend in Las Vegas and miraculously won almost the same amount that my wife stole from me. After paying taxes on the winnings and recovering the retirement fund amount, I was able to reinvest everything for my retirement. With my increasingly better salary and the 5 years of alimony, I bought my own apartment and some incredible cars. To this day, I wonder why some people are so foolish as to betray the trust of those who love them and then expect that person not to retaliate in kind.
She laughed. You really think I'd introduce you to my parents? Right in front of her friends. I just smiled and said, "Don't worry, you won't have to." Then I walked away without another word. Later that night, her best friend sent me a message that made me sit up straight. A quick favor for the channel. Hey Reddit fam, if you're enjoying our channel and want to show some real support, please upvote and hit that hype button. It's like a super like that pushes our videos out to way more people. I'm 29. I work in digital marketing, and up until 3 weeks ago, I thought I was in a solid relationship. Her name was Jessica. We had been together for 2 years. It wasn't perfect, but I thought we were building something real. I was wrong. Let me rewind a bit. I met Jessica at a mutual friend's birthday party. She was fun, ambitious, and on the rise at a tech startup. The connection was immediate. Within 3 months, she was practically living at my apartment. We fell into a comfortable routine. We grocery shopped together on Sundays. We watched Netflix every weeknight. We went to weekend brunch at our favorite spot downtown. I thought I knew her. I thought we were solid. Of course, there were small signs. She never wanted me to meet her parents. There was always an excuse. They're traditional, she'd say. I want to wait until we're more serious. 2 years seemed serious enough to me, but I didn't push it. She also spent a lot of time with her college friends, which I thought was healthy. Independence in a relationship, right? I had my own friends, my own hobbies. I trusted her. The night everything fell apart was supposed to be casual. Jessica invited me to meet her at a trendy downtown bar where she was with her college friends. I had met a few of them before, but this was a larger group, about 7 or 8 people. I arrived around 8 p.m. and found her sitting at a table in the back, surrounded by several women and one guy I didn't know. She waved at me. She didn't stand up, didn't kiss me, just waved. First warning sign I ignored. I sat in the empty chair next to her, ordered a bourbon on the rocks, and tried to jump into the conversation. They were talking about a trip they had taken to Miami the year before. I obviously wasn't there. Jessica had told me it was a girls' trip, and I had even encouraged her to go. I helped her book the flight. So I just listened, nodded, and chuckled where it seemed appropriate. I felt like an outsider, but I figured I'd bond with the group over time. Then one of her friends, Melissa, turned to me with an excited smile and asked, "So, when are you finally gonna meet Jay's parents? You guys have been together forever, right?" As in 2 years. I started to give a casual answer, something like, "Hopefully soon," but before I could finish, Jessica laughed. It wasn't a nervous laugh or an embarrassed one. It was a genuine scoffing laugh that cut right through the bar noise. She looked at Melissa, then at me, and said, You really think I'd introduce him to my parents? The table went silent. I felt my face go hot. That sickening feeling of having just been slapped in public. Someone cleared their throat. The guy across from me suddenly became very interested in his phone. Another friend stared deep into her wine glass as if it held the secrets of the universe. Jessica just stood there with a slight smirk, swirling her martini, like she just made a joke only she understood. I could feel every eye on me, waiting for my reaction. I was going to yell, defend myself, or pretend I found it funny. I did none of that. I looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time in 2 years, I had the sense that I was looking at a complete stranger. I smiled. Not a fake smile, but the kind of smile you give when you finally understand the joke you were unknowingly part of. And I said, "Don't worry, you won't have to." I stood up, left a $10 bill on the table for my drink, and walked out. I heard someone behind me say, "Dude, what was that?" Maybe to Jessica, maybe not. I didn't look back. I didn't need to see her face. I got in my car and drove home. My hands were shaking the whole way. It wasn't rage, it was adrenaline. The sudden, crushing realization that I had wasted 2 years of my life on someone who saw me as a punchline. I thought she would text, call, apologize, explain, beg me to come back. But my phone stayed silent for 3 hours. I sat on the couch, staring at the wall, replaying the moment in my head. What did I miss? How could I not have seen it? I was just a placeholder, a warm body to fill the void in her life until something better came along. Then, at 11:47 p.m., my phone vibrated. It wasn't Jessica. It was her best friend, Lauren. We had always gotten along. She was the one who told Jessica I was a nice guy when we started dating, and she had defended me several times. She said you were too nice to make a scene, that you would accept whatever she said, and I just couldn't stomach that. You don't deserve this. I felt numb. 6 months. 6 months? I repeated in disbelief. Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you knew. I thought you guys were in some kind of weird arrangement, but tonight it was clear that you had no idea, and that's not right. I thanked her. I don't remember what else I said. My mind was just white noise. I hung up and sat there in the dark until 3 a.m., trying to process it all. 6 months, half a year. All those nights she said she was working late, all those weekends with the girls. Every time she seemed distant, distracted, she was with him. And then I started to plot. Update 1, the digital trail. Jessica finally texted me the next afternoon. "Hey, can we talk? I think you overreacted last night." Overreacted, as if I were the problem. I didn't reply. Instead, I called my friend Marcus, who works in IT security. I asked him a hypothetical question about shared cloud storage and if it was possible to access someone else's backup. He explained how it worked. It turns out Jessica and I had been on the same iCloud family plan for over a year, her idea, ironically, to save money. This meant I technically had access to her photo backups if I knew the login, and I did. She had used my laptop hundreds of times, and the password was saved. I'm not proud of what I did next, but I was hurt, I was furious, and I needed to know the truth. I logged into the account, and there it was. Hundreds of photos, her and this Connor. Trips I thought were with coworkers, romantic dinners, hotel rooms with rose petals on the bed. There was even a photo of the two of them taken 2 months ago, apparently at his family's lake house. They were wearing matching Christmas sweaters, his arm around her waist and her leaning into him with that smile that used to be mine. A wave of nausea hit me. I downloaded everything. Then I logged out and cleared the search history like I had just committed a crime. She called me that night. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. Her voice was sweet, almost impatient. "Look, I'm sorry I embarrassed you. I was drunk and an idiot. Can we please talk? I miss you." I texted back. We can talk tomorrow. Coffee at Broden's at 2 p.m. She replied instantly, okay, thank you. I love you. I stared at those 3 words. I love you. Did she? Did she ever? I didn't reply. Update 2, the confrontation. She showed up 15 minutes late, wearing the blue summer dress I had bought her for her birthday. She sat across from me, smiling like nothing had happened, like she hadn't humiliated me in front of her friends, like she wasn't living a double life. Hi, she said, reaching her hand across the table to touch mine. I'm so sorry about that night. I don't know what I was thinking. I was drunk and an idiot. I pulled my hand away. Tell me about Connor. Her face went pale, literally colorless. What? Connor? The guy you've been seeing for 6 months? She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Who told you that? Does it matter? It's not what you think, she said. And I almost laughed because that's what they always say. We're just friends. I cut her off. I picked up my phone, opened the photo folder, and slid the device across the table to her. There are about 300 photos that say otherwise. Her hand shook as she picked up the phone. She scrolled for about 5 seconds, then dropped it, her eyes welling up. How did you? iCloud Family Plan, I replied. And by the way, you're terrible with technology. You should change your password. She started to cry, real tears this time, not those manipulative ones she used when she wanted something. These were tears of panic, of desperation. I didn't want this to happen. Connor and we just connected. We met at an event and we started talking. It just happened. But I do care about you. I didn't want to hurt you. You didn't want to hurt me, I repeated slowly. But you humiliated me in front of your friends, spent 6 months lying to my face, and made me believe we had a future while you were planning your life with another guy. I was confused, she said. I didn't know how to break up with you. You're just so good to me. You're stable, you're kind, and convenient, I finished. That's the word Lauren used. She flinched. She had no right to. She had every right, I interrupted. She's been a better friend to me than you ever were a girlfriend. It's over, Jessica. I want you out of my apartment by the end of the week. I'll be staying at Marcus's place until you leave. Drop the key on the counter. She grabbed my hand across the table, her nails digging into my skin. Please, can we talk about this? I'll break up with Connor. I'll do whatever you want. I'm messed up. Please. I pulled my hand away and stood up. No, we can't. And just so you know, I already spoke to the landlord this morning. The lease is only in my name. You have no legal right to stay. So pack your bags and get out. I left her there, crying over cold coffee. I had spoken to the landlord earlier, explaining the whole situation. He was sympathetic and told me I was completely within my rights to ask her to leave. Update 3, moving on. She moved out in 3 days. Lauren hooked her pack and kept texting me updates so I knew when it was safe to return home. She's taking the coffee maker, one text read. I didn't care. She could take whatever she wanted. I just wanted her gone. After it was all over, Lauren sent me one last message. She's a mess, but you did the right thing. I'm proud of you. I blocked Jessica on everything. Phone, social media, email.
I even blocked Connor, even though we had never exchanged a word and never would. I needed a clean break, a fresh start, and no reminders. 2 weeks later, Lauren texted me again. Are you sitting down? My heart sank. What now? Connor broke up with Jessica. I actually burst out laughing right in the middle of the grocery store. Why? Apparently, he didn't know she was still in a relationship with you. She told him you guys had broken up last year and were just roommates finishing out the lease. When he found out the truth, I think someone in our group told him, he flipped out, called her a liar and a cheater, and blocked her on everything. Karma, I replied, and that's exactly what it felt like. There's more, Lauren said. She tried to move back in with her parents.
They kicked her out. What? Why? Her mom found out everything. Listen, Jess's parents actually loved you. They thought you were going to propose. Her mom kept asking about you. When they found out what Jessica did, her mom said she was ashamed to call her daughter. She said she didn't raise a cheater and a liar. I didn't quite know how to feel about that. Part of me felt vindicated, like the universe had finally balanced the scales. But another part just felt sadness. Sadness for the time I wasted. Sadness for the person I thought she was. Sadness for the future I imagined that will never exist. Final update, moving forward. It's been 3 weeks since I walked out of that bar. Jessica is apparently crashing with Melissa now, the same friend who asked the question that started everything. I heard through Lauren that she's been trying to contact me through mutual friends, asking if I'd give her another chance, saying she's learned her lesson and grown as a person in 3 weeks. I won't. Last week, I went on a date with someone new. Her name is Raquel. We met online. She's a 4th grade teacher, loves hiking, and has a pointer named Pepper. On our first date, we talked for 3 hours until the restaurant closed. On the second date, she asked me, "So, when do I get to meet your friends? I want to meet the people who are important to you." I smiled and replied, "Whenever you want." She squeezed my hand across the table and said, "Good answer." I'm not totally healed yet. There are still days when I think about Jessica, about what I lost, about the fact that someone can lie looking into your eyes for 6 months and still sleep next to you every night. I think about all the signs I ignored, all the red flags I tried to rationalize away because I wanted to believe we were happy. But I'm getting there, and now I know what I won't accept anymore. I'm not going to be anyone's plan B. I'm not going to be anyone's joke. I'm not going to be anyone's convenient option. Yesterday, Lauren told me Jessica has been posting cryptic Instagram stories, quotes about losing the one you love and regretting your choices if I could go back in time. I haven't looked, and I don't need to. That chapter is closed. I'm moving on. I'm building something new. If this story grabbed you, please hit the upvote button and give the video some hype. It helps